The dodecahedron was made from bronze or a copper alloy because this was the best material for the task. It had to be strong, stiff and be capable of keeping its geometry during constant use, which included it being immersed into hot molten wax. Wood, lead or tin etc. would not have been suitable for this application. Most have been found in military installations, forts or camps, because the Roman army adopted the use of the dodecahedron coding system, and this is where most of the secret message traffic was prevalent during military operations. Why were some found with coins or treasure, and why were some found in temples and graves? It's unlikely that the dodecahedron coding system was invented by the military, but more likely a mathematician, a scientist or an engineer, and not necessarily from within the Roman Empire itself. The inventors would want to sell the system to anyone who could pay for it, and this would include business people, merchants, the aristocracy and even the religious fraternity, all who would have had the requirement to send secure messages around their networks, groups or organisations. Perhaps you could imagine priests coding and decoding messages as a service to the public, for donations or sacrifices. Perhaps you can imagine the dodecahedron as being a status symbol, similar to a mobile phone is today, which can be used for messaging people easily and securely. And this is why they are featured as grave goods, perhaps giving the deceased the ability to contact people in the afterlife. In today's world, the charity Age Concern polled 100,000 people and found that people wanting to be buried with their mobile phones was the second most popular request. Messages could be sent via the cursus publicus, a kind of Roman state postal system, which the Romans adopted from the Persians. But there was no guarantee as to the security of the message, and it was very expensive to use. A message could be sent by slave resources, but for the message to remain a secret between the sender and the receiver, a Codes and Ciphers system was the only way to ensure this. The dodecahedron shows no signs of wear because all the other moving parts of the system are made of wood and wax, which are both softer materials than the dodecahedron material itself. Traces of wax have been found attached to the dodecahedron because of the wax sealing process we saw earlier. It is unlikely that any trace of the wax from the manufacture by the lost wax process, as this would only be detectable at a molecular level. We saw that there are different size holes in each face of the dodecahedron to accommodate the 12 different sizes of code wheel hubs, each with a different random alphabet. There are rings found around some of the holes for two reasons. The only critical decision a decoder has to make is identifying that the correct holes line up with the impression on the wax seal, and the relationship between the holes and the rings assist him in doing this. Also, the rings assist the craftsman during the hole drilling process to keep the holes concentric and on centre. As can be seen from this fragment of a dodecahedron found in England, the rings almost form grooves that almost perforate the face and could be used to accommodate changing the hole size easily if required. Why were most found around Northern Europe? Looking at the map of finds, the first thing to appreciate is that the fastest and most secure way of sending an important message is by boat. Using boats or ships, messages could travel quickly and safely around the Mediterranean, the Black Sea and the coast of Hispania. Much of the lands of Gaul, Germania and Britannia were regarded as hostile territory, where lone messengers were subject to ambush and capture by guerrilla-type forces. Substantial effort and activity from the Roman forces was required to control and subdue these territories. Hence, the additional military activity in these areas where the dodecahedrons have been found. You have seen the purpose for the knobs or nodules each corner. They support the plain text wheel and act as a mechanical positioning reference to keep the code wheel in register. They also perform a stable, repeatable positioning datum so that the wax sealing impression is always clean and consistent. You have seen exactly how the dodecahedron was used. The dodecahedron geometry was used for this purpose because it could give 12 possible coding options. A cube, for example, would only give 6. Some of the other platonic solids could give more than 12 options, but were much more difficult to manufacture due to the possibility of small errors in the angles or side lengths happening during the casting process, causing the whole geometry of the object to be defective and useless. As a result, the best compromise between the number of coding options and the final successful outcome in manufacture of the object was chosen to be the dodecahedron. There are no written records or pictorial references to the dodecahedron in history because it was a secret coding system and it had to remain a secret from as many people as possible for as long as possible. Drawings of the dodecahedron and how it works, or written descriptions, would only help an enemy or code breaker. Hence, code operators were only trained verbally and by practical means. Well, I hope that you found my first YouTube video interesting and informative and presented you with some compelling theories as to the use of the strange object. I would be interested in your feedback on the subject in the comments below or by email. I would be interested to make contacts with Roman reenactment societies to try and test this theory in the field if they would like to approach me by email. I would be interested to see if there have been any Roman wooden tablets that have been found that cannot be deciphered. For those of you interested in codes and ciphers, I will leave you with a challenge if you would like to provide answers by email. Are you not entertained?